tuntun, ìlú tuntun, synchromatic sound. African beats tún gbédè. Bó bá fẹ́ jó synchro system ṣòǹgbọ́. Àní tó bá fẹ́ jó synchro system ṣòǹgbọ́ mi. Kó rọra ṣebí rẹ̀ ní dúró lójú kan ṣòǹgbọ́. Bó bá ṣebí rẹ̀ ní dúró lójú kan. Kọjú sí bèbí ẹ, kí bèbí ẹ kó kọjú sí ẹ. Bó bá láyà o, tàbí tó bá ti lọ́kọ, kó kọjú sí Sànníra Ládé. Bó bá kẹ̀yìn sí ẹ kò bọ́ sí rárá, face to face làwa ń fẹ́. Bó bá kẹ̀gbẹ́ sí ẹ kò bọ́ sí rárá o, face to face làwa ń fẹ́. Bó bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ kò bọ́ sí rárá, face to face làwa ń fẹ́. Àmọ́ kò lọ rántí wípé láti rí ìbàdí ẹ títí lọ désàlẹ̀ nìkan ṣoṣo kó máa ṣiṣẹ́. Láti rí ìbàdí ẹ títí lọ dèrò òkè orí kó máa rọ́ kẹ́kẹ́kẹ́. Super system. Synchro system kẹ́ máa jó. Synchro system. Ẹ máa jó. àfẹsọ̀jà ayé ló tọ́. ẹni Ọlọ́run bá ń ṣọ́ kó ṣọ́ra. ayé ti gbẹ̀gẹ́. torí pé abánigbélé ó ṣe ni. abánidáṣepọ̀ ó ń dání o. ìyàwó tá a fẹ́ sílé ó ń dání. ọkọ tó fẹ́ ní sílé ó ń dání o. ẹbí rẹ ni o ó ń dání. káwá bọ̀sibọ́sì ra ládùúgbò ṣó ń gbọ́. olódìfá fún Rókété lọ́jọ́ kìíní wípé òkété o báyìí ní ìwà rẹ. òkété o báyìí ní ìwà rẹ o. ó bá fàmúlẹ̀ ró dáfá. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé máa lé. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé lé o. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé máa lé. ẹ̀bẹ̀ mo máa báyé káyé máa bá wa jà. ajá yìí wọ́n máa fàyà mọ́ wa lára. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé máa lé. ìkáwọn kálá kan mọ́ mọ́ ká kókó. ìkáwọn kálá o kan mọ́ mọ́ ká kókó. torí gbígbìn lágbọ̀n gẹ̀dẹ̀ o nílẹ̀ lálẹ́ rèké. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ayé máa lé. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ra ayé lè o. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ayé máa lé. ẹ̀bẹ̀ mo máa báyé káyé máa bá wa jà. àṣẹ yìí wọ́n máa fàyà mọ́ wa lára. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ayé máa lé. a ò bá wọn wá a ò máa ní bá wọn lọ. kò tètè dé o kò ní tètè lọ o. torí nígbẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀yìn la wáyé. ayé ayé ẹ̀bẹ̀ mo máa báyé káyé máa bá wa jà. àṣà yìí ló máa fàyà mọ́ wa lára. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ayé máa lé. òtítọ́ ni o. wọ́n pè wá láyé o wọ́n pè wá lọ́run. wọ́n pè wá láyé wọ́n pè wá lọ́run o. ìpè tọ̀run o. ògún dá méjì kò mà ní jẹ́ra jẹ́. ayé ayé ẹ̀bẹ̀ mo máa báyé káyé máa bá wa jà. àṣà yìí ló máa fàyà mọ́ wa lára. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé sọ̀rọ̀. wọ́n dòyí kápá apá ò kápá. wọ́n dòyí kó ṣe apá ò kó ṣe o. wọ́n fi bínú dòyí ká kànga o kò ṣe bínú kó sí. ayé ẹ rojú ayé. ayé ẹ̀bẹ̀ mo mọ̀ báyé káyé mo mọ̀ bá wa jà. aṣáájú wọ́n máa fàyà mọ́ wa lẹ́ra. ayé lè o ọ̀rẹ́ mi ráyé mọ́lẹ̀. ẹ gbọ́. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. ẹ ṣàlàyé fún mi kí n gbọ́. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí sẹ́ o. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. ọ̀pọ̀lọ́ bá mi lábàtà ló ń bá búrúbúrú. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. ọ̀pọ̀lọ́ bá mi lábàtà ló ń bá búrúbúrú. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. a ní ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí sẹ́. ẹran kìlà ò jẹ́ rí o. mo gbede o mo gbede o mo gbede synchro mo gbede agbeta náà dànù àtúngbé tuntun wá mo gbede torí àtijọ́ gẹ̀dẹ̀ ọ̀mìnì kára kó lè rọ̀ wá kalẹ̀ mo gbede synchromatic sound mo gbede. Àtúngbé tuntun dé. Ire ní tàwa. Olódìfá fún wọn lálẹ́ rí fẹ̀. Olódìfá fún Ròṣùmàrè tó lójú ọ̀run jákẹ́lẹ́lẹ́. Wọ́n ní kí ni wọ́n sùn lálẹ́ Ifẹ̀ màmá. Àní wọ́n lẹ́kún rajé ni wọ́n sùn lálẹ́ Ifẹ̀ ṣe ń gbọ́. Odùduwà ní tó bá ṣe wípé bẹ́ẹ̀ ní dandan. Ó ní àtijọ́ ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ọ̀mìnì kára kó lè rọ̀ wá kalẹ̀. Ó ní kẹ́ máa wí tẹ̀lé mi bí mo ti ń wí nítorí pé àpèmọ́ra ṣẹ́ là ń pe tèmi dire. Gbégbé kó lọ gbére ajé tèmi kò mí wá. Àlùkò kó lọ fìrí ajé tèmi kò mí lọ́nà dandan ni. Torí èpo orógbó òun ló ń bàṣírí orógbó. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni rèpo bì ló ń bàṣírí robì. Èpo ratare ní bàṣírí atare. Odùduwà wá fi yé wa wípé ká máa gbádùn lọ. Ibi wọn bá rí ohun tí gbéra wa lọ. Ibi wọn bá ti mọ wọn kí gbéra wa lọ. Orí kì í fáwọn o ẹ̀dọ̀ kì í dùn gbìn. Òtútù kì í mẹ́ja lálẹ́ rodò. Àyíkó dídí máa dẹ o kó kú rọ́jú. Bíkí bá ti rorò ó ní láti bá gbógbé. A ní láti máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Olódùmarè bàbá wa. Aláṣẹ ọ̀run o tó ń pèsè àtijẹ. Aláṣẹ ọ̀run o tó tún wá ń pèsè àtimú. Ó bá wa ṣẹ́gun rọ́lọ́tẹ̀. Àwọn rọ́lọ́tẹ̀ tán.
Hi, everybody. Waiting for Eddie.
Testing. Testing.
Those in the hallway, please come on into the main space. Those in the hallway, please come into the main space. Okay. Hi, everyone. Can we get started, please? Come on in, let's get started. Thank you all for coming back. Come on in close so everyone can hear and so those in the back can get into the room, please. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back after a busy, tiring, but ultimately very productive day. This is a time to relax among friends, and to start this evening's proceedings, I'd like to introduce Colin Allen, President of the World Federation of the Deaf, and our evening's MC. Colin is a world leader in deaf community development, human rights, and advocacy. In July 2011, Colin was elected to the President of the World Federation of the Deaf and has worked with a number of development cooperation programs all over the world and both local and national deaf associations in Australia. He was president of the Australian Association of the Deaf, now Deaf Australia, for 9 years and has been a board member of the World Federation of the Deaf since 2013. In July 2013, he was elected second vice chair of the board of the International Disability Alliance. Colin is deaf and was raised in a deaf family in Sydney. He graduated with a diploma in community organizations from the University of Technology in Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colin Allen.
Thank you so much. And good evening to you all. Excellencies, representatives of member states, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. These are important days for the people with disabilities in the world. First, yesterday, the high-level meeting discussing our issues, our rights, our participation in social life internationally, in societies. And this morning, I was so happy to see, and my heart was so happy that it was smiling, these partnerships that are developing on the behalf of children with disabilities. Tonight, we're celebrating the UN Partnership for Children with Disabilities, the Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, including the ILO, the OHCHR, UNDESA, UNDP, UNICEF, and the WHO, who are cooperating to sponsor this special event, the launch of Voices, this publication. And I'm very happy to be the MC at this reception tonight. We have a short program for you. I'll explain exactly what's going to go on. We have many distinguished speakers taking the floor this evening. There's Mr. Anthony Lake, the Executive Director of UNICEF, who will deliver his opening remarks. There will be Ms. Rebecca Greenspan, who is the UN Undersecretary General and also the UNDP Associate Administrator, who will close the formal proceedings this evening with some forward-looking remarks. And the chair of the International Disability Alliance, Mr. Yannis Vardakastanis. And we will also hear from Her Excellency Ms. Heidi Hautala, the Minister of International Development and Cooperation from the government of Finland. Also, Her Excellency Ms. Reen Bessie Kasher, the Minister of Disability and Elderly Affairs from the government of Malawi. And another person who will speak to us this evening, Mr. Shamshad Akhtar, the UN DESA Assistant Secretary General. These distinguished speakers this evening will spend their time with us, and I want to introduce the first one, Mr. Anthony Lake, the Executive Director of UNICEF. Please come to the stage, Mr. Lake. And thank you.
Let me begin by welcoming you all to UNICEF House. I hope you have a wonderful evening. There are a fair number of speakers, so I will try to be brief. On this subject, I could go on and on forever, but I do not fear I will not. Let me thank you, Colin, for emceeing us this evening. Let me thank the Global Partnership on Children with Disabilities and the UN Partnership to promote the rights of persons with disability for everything that you all do to help people with disabilities access jobs and schools, gather more data about the barriers they face, and put their rights at the heart of the post-2015 agenda. And let me thank Rosangela and her team at UNICEF for everything you have done to make everything move so smoothly. Every person has unique gifts and talents, dreams and ambitions, something to offer that nobody else can. Every person also has the right to harness these gifts and carry them to their full potential. But for every child, realizing this right requires support, a foundation built on equal access to health care, to nutrition, school, employment, and most of all, encouragement. Around 1 billion people with disabilities of all ages and backgrounds are consistently denied these rights. Hundreds of millions of people with personal stories of being excluded, of being counted out. A young deaf man ready to join the workforce, told to limit his horizon and to scale back on his dreams. A blind girl told that she cannot possibly learn because she cannot see. A teenage boy in a wheelchair sitting at home alone while his brothers are playing outside. When we fail to see the gifts that every person has, when we fail to hear their demands for justice, for an equal chance to unleash their talents and their energies and their ideas, we not only rob people of their own ambitions, we rob our societies of all that those people could contribute. Economies are not statistical abstractions. They're built, sustained, and expanded by a healthy, educated, and inclusive workforce. Dreamers, thinkers, and leaders given every opportunity to grow up healthy and safe, to learn, to sharpen their skills, to contribute. People like Ludwig van Beethoven, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Helen Keller, Vincent van Gogh, Leonardo da Vinci. Where would the world be, where would humanity be without the contribution of these people who happen to have a disability? We're celebrating how over the last 2 days, governments from around the world have come together to renew their pledge to invest in opening doors of opportunity for people with disabilities, and to gather the data that we need to design and deliver the policies and programs that can help us reach that goal. By making schools and workplaces more inclusive and accessible, by providing equal access to health care and nutrition for all, by designing sanitation programs and facilities that can take into account the needs of people with disabilities, even or especially in emergencies. NGOs, civil society groups, and committed activists are bringing change to life at the community level, including by battling stigma, perhaps the greatest barrier of all. Because when people are defined by what they cannot do, we miss out on what they can do, what they can contribute to their families, their communities, and their countries. For inspiration, we need look no further tonight than Nguyen Phuong An, or Crystal as she's known. Where is Crystal? There you are. Hey. I met her in Da Nang in Vietnam earlier this year and quickly discovered that not only is she a tireless champion for the rights of children with disabilities, but she's also a gifted singer, as we are very happily going to see in a few minutes, and you can hear for yourselves. Phuong An's new friend, Stevie Wonder, I've got photographs of their meeting yesterday, the day before, which are fabulous. Stevie Wonder once said, "Just because a man lacks the use of his eyes doesn't mean that he lacks vision." The same could be said of every person living with a disability. Just because a girl cannot walk doesn't mean she lacks a journey to complete or that she can't complete it. And just because a boy has a learning disability doesn't mean his ideas couldn't someday change the world. Just because the world doesn't see the talents that every person has doesn't mean that those gifts don't exist, that they're not valuable, that we don't need them, because we do need them. And with your continued dedication, we can help people, all people, harness these gifts, change their world, and inspire others everywhere to do the same. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
I want to thank you, Mr. Lake. That was a beautiful statement about having dreams. I remember when people told me no when I was small, but I had dreams, and you find a way to achieve them. You do. And I know you people with disabilities, and children with disabilities and children and deaf children also have their dreams to attain. Now I want to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Yannis Vardakastanis, who is chair of the International Disability Alliance.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have been participating and living these days through very important developments concerning the rights of persons with disabilities. Very important steps on our way to achieve inclusion in the post-2015 development agenda. Tonight, we celebrate the launch of the publication towards an inclusive and accessible future for all, Voices of Persons with Disabilities on the post-2015 development framework. This week, 50% of the world's population, 1 billion men, women, and children with disabilities, looking to all of us, in particular to decision and policymakers at the national and the international levels. Albert Einstein said, "Those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act." This publication increases our knowledge. It is the voice of 1/7 of the world's population, 1 billion people calling on us to act, calling on us, especially on those who have the privilege and the power to take decisions, to take actions that can change the lives of persons with disabilities in the member states of the United Nations, to implement the CRPD, to deliver on the commitments they have made. The publication we are launching tonight presents 7 clear messages. A new development approach is needed, an approach that recognizes human rights as the basis for the inclusion of all persons with disabilities. Combating stereotypes and prejudices towards persons with disabilities is a key step towards building an inclusive and sustainable society for all. Developing disability-sensitive indicators and targets, and disaggregating data by disability are critical elements of a disability-inclusive development agenda. Accessibility of the physical environments, transportation, information and communication infrastructure is indispensable to the sustainable inclusion of persons with disabilities and a fundamental prerequisite for disability-inclusive development. Nothing about us without us is as valid as ever. The meaningful participation of persons with disabilities and their representative organizations must be ensured in the formulation and implementation of development policy at all levels. Disability is a cross-cutting issue, relevant to all areas of human life. A disability inclusive perspective must be applied to all areas of development. The political leadership of governments is indispensable to the realization of the rights of persons with disabilities, but must be accompanied by mechanisms to ensure multi-stakeholders engagement and strong channels of accountability. These 7 key messages are clear. They come from the voices of the 1 billion persons with disabilities worldwide that have been excluded and are now speaking loudly and clearly to all. We are asking you tonight, and I tell you, all days and nights, to hear these voices, to know that it is time for change. The time to act is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vardakastanis. And the title of the publication says it all, Voices, Documenting the Voices of Persons with Disabilities. And I was thinking, how do we deaf people or deaf-blind people hear voices? How can we be heard? We can stamp on the floor. We can wave our hands in the air. That's one way. And now I would like to welcome to the stage Her Excellency Ms. Heidi Hautala, Minister of International Development from the Government of Finland.
Yes. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share my feelings about disability, equality, and our future development goals. Yesterday, I had this incredible privilege to sit on the podium in front of the high-level event meeting on disability. And it was really delightful to hear so many people to make so many strong calls for a human rights-based approach to development, which, as Yannis has just explained, means indeed that human rights and recognition of human rights must be the basis for the inclusion of everybody with a disability. And I'm very often thinking that, in fact, if we understood that anybody, anytime, can become a person with disability, then we should be much more understanding to really work for the full inclusion of persons with disability. So for me, what is really important is now to discuss how we promote development. And there, obviously, we all have to fight very hard to make sure that non-discrimination and equality will be fully reflected throughout the post-2015 agenda. We need to define clear targets which integrate equality concerns. We need to collect data and information which give a disaggregated picture of realities so that we can solve problems. We need to set targets. We need to complement our targets with very specific measures which promote the inclusion of persons with disabilities. We need indicators so that we can measure results. And for me, it's very, very easy to say that participation is a must, because I started my societal and political activities by twinning with the movement of people from the, let's say, independent living, people who were saying that yes, we have a disability, but it does not mean that some well-meaning people should represent us. We will represent ourselves. And I also sometimes had to learn the hard way to remember what it means in practice. Sometimes I failed to organize a meeting in a place where there was full accessibility. And of course, my friends with disabilities gave me a good lesson that I would never do it again. And I think this way I also had to learn myself. So indeed, I think participation is a must, and it is very encouraging to see that at least there is a shift in paradigm, that it is not anymore about what some other people will do to the people with disabilities, but indeed it is an important social movement worldwide. Also, I had my experience by being a, let's say, co-founder of a small foundation, which is a Finnish-based foundation called Abilis. And many of you actually are talking to me about Abilis. And I'm very proud to say that the father of Abilis, Mr. Kalle Könkkölä, is my good friend since 30 years. And he taught me a whole lot about how people with disabilities must take the lead of their own lives and to set things in order. So now I'd just like to say that Finland is very happy to cooperate with UNPRPD because it really is a partnership between different actors. It has a focus on joint learning and knowledge creation. We're very, very pleased that new partners have joined forces with us. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Norway, who is the latest one in joining us this year. I'm also very, very pleased to see that I can announce that the contribution of Finland to the partnership will be further strengthened. Namely, we have decided to provide the UNPRPD with an additional support that will raise the total contribution of Finland this year to well over $2 million. And finally, I want to extend a big congratulations to this report that will be launched today, because we really do need good examples of how to promote the rights of people with disabilities in the new development agenda. And I'm learning that we need a twin-track approach. We need diversity budgeting, very important for finance ministries, to put the lenses on which show where there is discrimination, direct or indirect, and where we can promote inclusion of people with disabilities. And indeed, improving and gathering of statistics and data on disability is crucial, so that we are able to address the root causes of exclusion and discrimination of persons with disabilities. So thank you very much, and I think we should celebrate the fact that the Assistant Secretary General Jan Eliasson yesterday said that the high-level meeting on disabilities has been a landmark in the history of UN, that now we can really start to work together so that we have a truly inclusive post-2015 development agenda. So thank you very much, and congratulations for everybody for being here. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Minister, for that wonderful statement. You know, as a deaf person, I can't hear everybody talking during the speeches, but I have been told that some people are talking. So during the speeches, please try to keep it down. And I would just like to take from what Madam the Minister said: exclusion, no. Inclusion, yes. It's simple and clear and memorable. And now I'd like to welcome the next speaker, Ms. Rini Kacheri, and she's the Minister of Disability and Elderly Affairs from the government of Malawi. Please.
Hello and good evening. Mr. Anthony Lake, Executive Director of UNICEF, Ms. Shamsad Akhtar, Assistant Secretary General, UNDESA, Ms. Rebecca Gispan, Associate Administrator, UNDP, Ms. Hautala, Minister of International Development, the Government of Finland, Mr. Yannis Vardakastanis, Chair, International Disability Alliance. Chairperson, I'm very thankful this evening for being accorded this royal honor to attend and speak at this reception, where we are calling for action for the implementation of the recommendations of the high-level meeting on disability and development, and launching of the United Nations Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The theme is towards an inclusive and accessible future for all. Voices of persons with disabilities on the post-2015 development framework. This is an honor to me and to my government as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I come from Africa, Malawi. And as you rightly know, that 80% of persons with disabilities come from developing countries, such as Malawi. I am coming from a country where you would see some parents hiding their children in the houses. They don't send them to school. They just keep them in their house and lock them up. The parents can even be out for the whole day while the child with a disability is left in the house without food. That's where I'm coming from. And when you ask, you'll be told, yes, I have to go out to fetch food for this particular child. I am coming from a place in Africa where you see a lot of dropouts, disability girls dropping out from school, and marrying early, having early marriages. Ask them why they drop out of school and then get married so soon. They tell you, I need support. That's the place I'm coming from. I can go on and on, but because other people have to talk as well, I think I'll just stop there. Ladies and gentlemen, despite all these challenges, the disability sector in Malawi has and continue to greatly benefit from the country's leadership, which has demonstrated political commitment. By quickly establishing a Ministry of Persons with Disability, enacting a disability bill immediately the president ascended to power, the inclusion of disability development programs in the current Malawi Growth and Development Strategy, and the introduction of social cash transfer programs to the vulnerable groups, which include disability. These developments, including the passing of the law, has not only helped us to domesticate the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, but has also facilitated the implementation of disability-inclusive programs. In summary, the following are some of the milestones achieved in our efforts to address challenges in the disability sector. We are lucky that we do get some support from UNICEF itself and also from the Norwegian government, among others, that support us. Some of the milestones, as I said before, include the launching recently of a study on the situation analysis of children with disabilities. UNICEF Malawi funded the study, which was conducted by Center for Social Research of the University of Malawi. This report was launched together with International Children's Report. My ministry was launched with the UNICEF and other stakeholders are currently working on an action plan for addressing the challenges highlighted in this study. In a nutshell, the interventions will focus on improving awareness, on disability issues affecting children, accessibility to education, health, rehabilitation, work, and other issues as highlighted in the report. In terms of accessibility to the physical environment in schools and public buildings, government has put in place construction standards mandating those in authority to maintain ease of access into buildings by including ramps and also disability-friendly paths. Special needs education learners are also benefiting from inclusive education. Practices through enrollment in regular schools is also being practiced in Malawi. Her Excellency the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Joyce Banda, has provided scholarships to 100 children with disabilities in various education institutions in Malawi. Provision of assistive devices such as wheelchairs, crutches, walkers, and others, and social occupational therapy to children or learners with disabilities is also being provided in the country. I would like to commend the high-level meeting we have had on disability for not only focusing on the challenges being faced by persons with disability, but also coming up with proposals on how best countries can start addressing them. My call to all member countries is that our Millennium Development Goals and domestic growth and development strategies will be meaningless if we do not include programs targeting persons with disabilities, including children. Otherwise, the social exclusion, stigmatization, hunger that has been the hallmark of the sector will not change if we don't include them. And the development will not be there if we don't include the other sector of society that is also much, much better than the able person. To effectively eliminate discrimination of children with disabilities, and indeed all persons with disabilities, Malawi, as a member of the United Nations, subscribes to a post-2015 development agenda that would support implementation of deliberate measures to promote realization of rights by persons with disabilities through equality and equity of access to basic services. Such an agenda would promote empowerment and translate to a life of dignity for the majority of children and all persons with disabilities. This vision is in tandem with provisions of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities as domesticated in Malawi's national policy on equalization of opportunities for persons with disabilities, the Disability Act 2012, and in the Bill of Rights of Malawi's Republican Constitution. We cannot, of course, ignore enormous challenges this sector is facing, with which include resource constraints. In conclusion, I would like to congratulate ourselves for the launch of the publication entitled Towards an Inclusive and Accessible Future for All, Voices of Persons with Disability on the Post-2015 Development Framework. This document will serve two purposes. Firstly, as a constant reminder to us all of the work that needs to be accomplished in this sector in ensuring that the rights and needs of persons with disabilities are respected and met. And secondly, as a beacon of hope that some of us, including our political leaders, governments, agencies, and indeed ordinary people, will always be there supporting them in one way or the other. Together, we can bring all resources together and move together towards achieving of making the persons with disabilities also enjoy their rights. As the saying goes, nothing without us. Thanking you for listening. May God bless you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. And that's perfect to end with. Nothing about us without us. And now the next speaker, there's been a small change. It's Shamshed Akhtar, but the speech will be read by Danielle Abbas from DESA.
Good evening. I think that I have seen quite a few of you today. Before I deliver the official speech on behalf of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, allow me to say two things as Daniela Abbas, Director of the Division for Social Policy and Development. Up to you to decide if nothing about us without us has been realized tonight. I saw that it was very gender balanced, but with the exception of somebody from the non-governmental organizations, among the panelists, none were with a disability, and I'm here by chance because the Assistant Secretary General couldn't make it. But there is also a positive aspect. Could it be that finally we have reached the goal that able-bodied people have been integrated? The second observation I would like to share with you before I deliver the speech on behalf of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. I'm Italian, and Italians are known to be people who use their hands when they speak. So I wonder what these symbols might mean in the sign language. So now allow me to be again serious. And I'm very honored to be asked by Mr. Wu, the Undersecretary General, and then Mrs. Shamshed Akhtar, who is the Assistant Secretary General of the UN DESA, to share with you their thoughts about this extremely important event tonight. Ministers, deputy ministers, distinguished guests and colleagues, on behalf of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, also known as DESA, I thank you for joining us today to launch the publication Towards an Inclusive and Accessible Future for All. This is the first publication produced by the UN Partnership to promote the rights of persons with disabilities, for which DESA is a founding member. DESA works to promote inclusive, equitable, and sustainable development. As noted in the publication, 15% of the world's population, or 1 in 10, 15 people, live with some form of disability. This is a significant number. Any development path that ignores the barriers facing persons with disabilities cannot be inclusive, equitable, or sustainable in the future. This publication touches on several cross-cutting areas of social and economic development that are important in the work of DESA in its role as the United Nations global focal point on disability. The publication gives compelling evidence of the social, economic, cultural barriers facing persons with disabilities, both in developed and developing countries alike. For the majority of persons with disabilities, lack of equitable access to education, employment, healthcare, social and legal support systems are daily experienced. Despite this reality, persons with disabilities have remained on the periphery of discussions on the international development agenda until now. Yesterday, 23rd September the General Assembly high-level meeting on the realization of the Millennium Development Goals and other internationally agreed development goals for persons with disabilities, focused on what's going to happen beyond 2015, and adopted the outcome document titled The Way Forward, a disability-inclusive development agenda towards 2015 and beyond. The meeting marked an important milestone to readdress the imbalance in opportunities between persons with disabilities and the rest of the population to create a society that is truly inclusive for all. The outcome document stresses the importance of giving due consideration to persons with disabilities in the post-2015 development agenda, and it is intended to help concretize the vision of fully inclusive society and guide the international community's work towards 2015 and future decades to come. As the deadline for the achievements of the MDGs draws close, the international community is presented with the opportunity to finally overcome the significant omission of the past years and to ensure that the post-2015 development agenda empowers and enables persons with disabilities to assume their rightful role as agents and beneficiaries in all aspects of development. We are looking forward to working together with all our partners gathered here today as we embark with renewed vigor on this journey of transforming our society into a just and equitable society that is inclusive of and accessible to all persons. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank Ms. Botts for coming and substituting for Mr. Akhtar. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Rebecca Greenspan. UN Undersecretary and Assistant Administrator of UNDP.
Thank you so much, dear friends. I think that so much has been said. It's difficult to add, but let me say how much pleasure does it give me to be with you to launch this important publication. Celebrate the ground we have covered to date in terms of mainstreaming disability into development and reflect together on how, going forward, we will tackle the many challenges that still lie ahead. Many of you were with us 1.5 years ago, in December 2011, when the United Nations Partnership on the Right of Persons with Disabilities was officially launched. Right? At that time, the UNPRPD was a little more than an idea. Today, it has become a reality, with 11 projects being rolled out on the ground in 13 countries and plans already in place to launch a new wave of projects in the near future. I really want to thank so much the agencies of the UN that joined this idea: ILO, OHCHR, UNDESA, UNDP, UNICEF, and WHO. I remember when civil society came to talk to me and said, well, we have pushed the convention to be approved in the countries, but what are the tools that we have to make the convention come to reality, to make a difference for people with disabilities on the ground? And there are so many pieces around the UN. Everybody has like a little part of what has to be the agenda to make it a reality, the convention. And then we came with the idea of the UNPRPD. And I hope that we will be able to grow it together in partnership with the civil society, so it can expand and make a difference in making the convention a reality in each of the countries of the world. You know, we were saying that at that time, the UN was very disjoint in terms of its work with respect to disabilities. And now I think that slowly we are learning, guided by you, on how to do it better. Through these projects, the UNPRPD is starting to make a difference for people with disabilities around the world. For instance, it is supporting inclusive education in Togo, the strengthening of national statistical capacity on disability in Indonesia and the Pacific. And this is not a minor point, yes? Because when you don't exist in the statistics, it's the best way to make you absolutely invisible to decision-making and to policy and public policy. This deinstitutionalization in Moldova and efforts to realize the right to work for persons with disabilities in Costa Rica, my own country, just to mention a few examples. I would like to sincerely thank all the partners that have made this encouraging progress possible. The UN organizations, civil society partners, the International Disability Alliance and the International Disability and Development Consortium, and the countries that generously contributed to the fund. Australia, Cyprus, Finland. We heard the Minister of Finland just a moment ago pledging for more resources into the fund. Ireland, Mexico, Norway, and Sweden. I hope next time I will be standing here, we will have more countries in this list. Dear friends, it was said before, but let me reiterate. An important step forward was taken yesterday with the high-level meeting on disability and development. Several commitments that were made by member states will enable us to significantly advance the disability rights agenda over the next years. And of course, for our part, we are very happy that the role of the UNPRPD was specifically acknowledged in the outcome document. But most importantly, there was a strong recognition that persons with disabilities must be included in all aspects of development. There was an endorsement of the idea that an accessible society is not only a better society for persons with disabilities. It is, to go back to one of the themes of the publication that is being launched today, a better society for all. When I was reading this today, I remember, as a mother of a person with disabilities, when I went to school every year to meet the new teacher. Every year when I did that, the teacher talked to me like making a favor to me. And it was a whole years of education to tell her, this is not a favor, this is good for you, this is good for the classmates of my kids, this is good for me, this is good for everybody. And I never accepted the intention of making him feel, or me feel, that society was making us a favor. This is a right of all people on earth, and that right has to be asked for. The challenge now is, of course, action. How do we take this momentum and ensure that it is translated into reality? All of us have a significant role to play in articulating normative standards into policies, programs, and services that are responsive to the aspirations of people with disabilities. This is certainly not an easy path. It is, in fact, a path that will require us significantly rethink the way in which we have been doing things. However, we have an urgent moral imperative to move forward without hesitation. Much still remains to be done to ensure that persons with disabilities can enjoy all human rights and fundamental freedoms on an equal basis with others. Let me just finish with emphasizing two main messages from the report we are launching today. Two, the political leadership. One, first, the political leadership of governments is indispensable to the realization of the rights of persons with disabilities, but must be accompanied by mechanisms to facilitate multi-stakeholder engagement and strong channels of accountability. Second, indeed, a new approach is needed, an approach that recognizes human rights, not charity, as the basis for the inclusion of girls and boys, women and men with disabilities. And I end this by saying what you have been saying. Nothing about us without us. This is so fundamental because people with disabilities are not recipients of what others want to give them. People with disabilities are the main actors in their lives and in society to make this happen for everybody. And when you fight for your rights, you fight for my rights and for the rights of all people in the world that are discriminated because of whatever characteristic everybody has. So we are part of a big movement that we are contributing to really build a better world for all in the world. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for that statement. This is the end of our list of speakers. And I just want to emphasize some key words that can be gleaned from these speeches. Boys and girls, women and men, participating in the global society. Now I would like to introduce Phuong An. She's a 16-year-old from Vietnam, and she's a singer who has become a role model in Vietnam, bringing her vocal talent to numerous rural villages. And she's been heard on the radio, networking with global friends, and working as a friend of UNICEF. Ms. An.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's once again an honor for me to be here today, and now I'm just not gonna say anything and just gonna kind of sing with you guys and help make this night spice up a little bit, I guess. Not that I didn't listen to all of the beautiful speeches before, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed tonight, and why don't we start with a song that I've always wanted to tell myself this, and along with trying to tell other people. And it's originally written and performed by the singer Jason Mraz. It's called I Won't Give Up. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy, not with the past tense. Watching the night much. Thank you so much. I didn't expect it at all. And now I think for all the great people here, I think I would love to see you all dance along with me. How would you like that? I mean, before you start falling asleep, like, of course, yeah. So the next song is kind of like the cover that I did and made. It was an audition of me on Vietnam's Got Talent, and it got viral and people started watching, and that's basically why I'm here today. So I want to sing it again for you guys, and there's a story behind it kind of way, because it's a cover, but this time before I came here, I kind of have this special friend of mine from Vietnam. He's got visual impairment, but apart from that, he's an incredibly talented musician, and he's like a producer. He works with talented singers all over Vietnam, but then he still manages to get time to help me remake this song and make it kind of like my version. So here's Let's Dance, and I want you to dance. The weekend's almost done, the moon is low in the sky. I feel like going out before the night passes by. I won't just sit around when life becomes a drag. I dance. Follow her lead. I like the bass. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. I like the boom. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. I need guitar. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. I like the drum when it goes. Let's dance with the weekend, what the night is all about. Let's dance, grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweat it out. Let's dance, move your whole body, and let's start the party. But number one girl can make her go crazy. I need someone to dance with me, baby. Dance, the music's on. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. My favorite song. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. The beat is strong. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. We'll dance. Come on. Let's dance. What was the weekend? What was the night is all about? Let's dance. Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweat it out. Let's dance. Move your whole body, and let's start the party. Which number one girl can make her go crazy? I need someone to dance with me, baby. Dance. When the night says hello, yeah, get ready to go. Turn it up, turn it loose, yeah, you got no excuse. Just take a chance, get out on the floor and dance. But this time, can you sing it with me? Like, can you actually sing along with me this time? Please. So please, yeah, can I have this song, Let's Dance, once again for the amazing audience?
Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweaty down, let's dance. Move your whole body, please, and let's start the party. Too much number one.
It's almost done. The moon is low in the sky. I feel like going out before the night passes by. I won't just sit around when all my friends are here. I like the bass.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
I like the boom.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
I need guitar.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
I like the drum when it goes pumped, pumped, pumped.
Let's dance over the weekend, what the night is all about. Let's dance. Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweaty down. Let's dance. Move your whole body and let's start the party.
Too much number one girl can make a girl crazy. I need someone to dance to me, baby.
Dance.
The music's on.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it
And
up.
everyone's dancing.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
It's never been like this before.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
And my voice is lost.
Let's dance for the weekend, what the night is all about. Let's dance. Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, grab it one you can. Move your whole body and let's start the party.
Too much number one girl can make her go crazy. I need someone to dance to me, baby.
Dance.
You guys want to come up here? Yes, of course. I'm lonely up here.
When the night says hello, yeah, get ready to go. Turn it up, turn it loose. Yeah, you got no excuse. Just take a chance. Get out on the floor and dance. Oh, let's dance for the weekend, what the night is all about. Let's dance. Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweaty out. Let's dance. Move your whole body and let's start the party. Dance with me, dance, let's dance for the weekend, what the night is.
Give it up for
all
Go
about.
Pow!
Let's dance. Grab a girlfriend, grab a boyfriend, sweat it out. Let's dance.
Move your whole body and let's start the party. Since I traveled back from New York, I've been living in a dream like never before. Thank you. And congratulations to all of my dancers. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now it's time to drink until the night fades away. Thank all of our speakers tonight for achieving the goals in this new publication. Looking forward to the year 2015. Nothing about us without us. Woo!
made a man, and a man made a woman, but the woman made the devil. We'll throw her out through the window. God made a man, oh God made a man, and a man made a woman, man made a woman, but the woman made the devil, a woman made the devil. We'll throw her out through the window. Long, long, long time ago, way back in the garden of Eden, yeah. When God first met a man, when he first met a man, God put man in paradise, yeah, he put man there. Another time, man had nothing at all, and nothing to lay before. So God called a man, and God gave man a woman, but woman made the devil to throw her out through the window. God made a man, yeah, and a man made a woman, but the woman made the devil, woman made the devil to throw her out through the window. God made a man, oh God made a man, but a man made a woman, and the woman made the devil, woman made the devil, will throw her out through the window. When God first made a man, when he first made a man, yeah. You see, God put man in paradise, yeah, he put man there. At the time, man had nothing at all, and nothing to lay before. So God called a man, God gave man a woman, but woman brought woe to man. Woman made the devil, will throw her out through the window. God made a man, oh God made a man, and a man made a woman, but the woman made the devil, woman made the devil, will throw her out through the window. God made a man, yeah, and a man made a woman, but the woman made the devil, woman made the devil, will throw her out through the window.
Nobody show over دیکتاتوری را بردیم نوبرش رو آوردیم دموکراسی را خوردیم دموکراسی اسم میوه یه ساله مد شده و سر میشه تو پیاله همچی که نزدیکای فصلش میشه پر میشه تو ویترینا پشت شیشه او خیلی جاها میفروشن نون و بازو تو بسته بند